Hi everyone, my name is Peggy Razis and I am really excited to talk to you guys today about Cylon.js and the Internet of Things. So over the course of these next 10 minutes, we're going to learn a lot about what is the Internet of Things and how is it relevant to our lives. Next, we'll talk a little bit about JavaScript and why it's a great language for the Internet of Things and what you can make with it. Next, we'll dive into Cylon.js, which is a really great framework that makes developing applications for the Internet of Things simple and easy. And next, then we'll just top it off with a live demo, and I'll show you guys just something quickly on how you can use the Mayo wristband to create a robot. So first, what is the Internet of Things? I think it's a hot buzzword going around. You guys have probably read about it on Hacker News. There's a lot of things out there about it, but basically what it boils down to is that anything that can be connected will be connected. So it's really just the concept of connecting a device that can be turned on and off with the internet. Now, that's kind of cool. I mean, it's been around for a while, and how can we extend this further? And what's really great is connecting these devices to each other and fostering interactions between different types of things, because that's really where the magic happens and how it can be used for really cool applications. So what kind of things am I talking about? You see here we have an Apple smartwatch, and it's a Friday night and you're hosting a party at your house and you're wondering, how much beer is in the fridge? So then you think to yourself, and you don't know, but in the Internet of Things world, you can text your smart fridge, and you can ask your fridge how much beer is in the fridge, and it'll tell you based on RFID sensors that can then communicate with your smartwatch to tell you exactly what is in your fridge. And then you can extend this further to other rooms in your home. You can have Alexa with the Amazon Echo controlling and automating your Philips Hue light bulbs, which are then hooked to your Nest thermostat to determine when these things can go off. And then you can connect it even further to manufacturing and interactions between different machines that automate tasks and automate robots that control tasks. And then you can just connect all the things. And that sounds really crazy, but it's not that far off. There's a research firm called Gartner, and they're estimating that by 2020, these numbers are astounding, there'll be 21 billion connected Internet of Things devices with a market totaling $1.7 trillion. Now, I don't know about you guys, but job searching is coming up, and I'm really looking to get into a market that's safe and stable, and you see these growth figures, and they look astronomical. So how can we, as developers, get involved in this Internet of Things landscape? So here's the current landscape right now. Most of these devices are programmed in low-level languages like C, C++, Lua, and Go. But a lot of these devices are programmed in different languages. So you have a Mayo wristband, for example, that's programmed in Lua. And how can you make it talk to your Arduino that's programmed in C? It's really difficult to bridge the gap between these devices unless you have a working knowledge of how all these languages interact. And concurrency is really challenging here. I mean, you're spawning multiple threads, you're trying to track what's happening. There should be an easier solution, right? So JavaScript to the rescue, a language we all know and love, and more specifically Node.js. So why JavaScript? Why JavaScript for the Internet of Things? It's asynchronous, and it makes it really, really easy to have multiple events going at the same time with promises and callbacks. And Node in general is really event-driven with event emitters and sockets and being able to register multiple things happening at the same time. Furthermore, Node is really lightweight. A lot of the criticism with JavaScript as a language for the Internet of Things is that it's a higher level language and therefore takes up much more memory. But in fact, Node.js is very lightweight and able to run on these resource-constrained, really small devices like the Tesla, for example. So that brings us to a framework that makes it really easy to get all of these things done, which is called Cylon.js. And Cylon.js is really awesome, but why is it so great? Well, it's a JavaScript framework, and it bridges the gap between over 50 devices. That's a ton. Its API supports HTTP and socket I/O, so you can be listening for multiple things at the same time and constantly have that connection open between multiple devices. And it has a really strong open source community, so you're never waiting for support when the newest devices come out. There's developers constantly devoted to putting out platforms and node modules to make it really easy to integrate new devices into your existing framework. So what kinds of things does Cylon.js support? Well, you have your hardware, you have your Arduino, your Tesla, your Raspberry Pi. You have some really cool gesture control devices like the Leap Motion and the Mayo wristband, which I'm wearing now. And then you have other things like drones, light bulbs, robots. The possibilities are endless. Here's a really cool example of a guy using Cylon.js to control a drone with the Leap Motion from his computer. And don't just take my word for it, you'll have a chance to see it in action. So I'm going to do a quick demo for you guys where I'm going to create a robot using Cylon.js, the Mayo wristband, which is programmed in Lua, and eSpeak, which is an open source speech synthesizer, which is programmed in C. So Cylon.js is going to be the bridge and the magic that makes it all happen. So let me just turn off presentation mode. I don't want this thing to go crazy. Make sure we're good there. Okay. Whoa. Sometimes this thing gets a little crazy. It only registers your devices or your gestures about 70% of the time.
I am a robot. I am a robot. Look how easy this is. In less than 40 lines of code, you can have a conversation with me. Isn't Cylon awesome? The possibilities are endless. Please give me and Peggy a round of applause.
Thanks, guys. Okay, just turn presentation mode back on. That way you guys can see the code and see how easy it is. Okay, so I don't know if you guys would believe me, but it only takes 40 lines of code to make this happen. So first, you want to npm install Cylon, and then all other modules for your platforms. They're all individual, and you'll have to install them one by one. Next, you want to establish your connections and any other customization variables to control your devices, such as the type of voice or the speed, for example. Next, you want to hook up your devices to your connections above. That way you can use them in your work function. And lastly, you just listen for events and do really cool things in your callback function. The possibilities are endless. I mean, 4 steps and 40 lines of code, maybe even less if you take out the console logs, but that's it. Thank you guys so much for listening to me today. This is a subject I'm really passionate about, so if you want to find out more, you can check out the docs. You can ask me. I'd be happy to talk your ear off about it. You could check out my GitHub as well for some more projects with the Mayo. And then also, lastly, another resource with great articles and other documentation for the Internet of Things. Thanks, guys.